When people talk about investing for kids, they often jump straight to products, savings accounts, custodial portfolios, index funds, or tax-advantaged plans. All of that matters, but it misses the deeper point. The greatest gift you can give a child financially is not money working for them, but understanding working inside them. Financial literacy learned early shapes how a child thinks about effort, patience, risk, and responsibility long before numbers ever become large. Investing for kids is not about returns, it is about identity. Children absorb financial attitudes long before they understand financial terms. They notice how adults talk about money, argue about money, worry about money, or avoid talking about it altogether. From this, they form quiet beliefs. Money is stressful. Money is scarce. Money is confusing. Money is power. Money is freedom. These beliefs harden over time and later drive behavior far more than spreadsheets ever will. Teaching financial literacy early is about shaping those beliefs intentionally rather than leaving them to chance. The first lesson children need is not investing, but earning. Money that appears magically teaches nothing. Money connected to effort teaches cause and effect. When children receive money in exchange for age-appropriate tasks or contributions, they begin to understand that value is created, not granted. This does not require turning childhood into labor. It requires linking money to responsibility in a way that feels fair and understandable. Investing makes sense only after this foundation is in place. The second lesson is choice. Children should learn that money represents options, and options involve trade-offs. When a child must decide between spending now or saving for later, they experience delayed gratification in real time. This experience is far more powerful than any lecture. Investing is simply delayed gratification with uncertainty added. Teaching this early makes later concepts like volatility and patience feel familiar rather than frightening. Introducing investing concepts should be concrete, not abstract. Children understand ownership better than markets. Explaining that owning part of a company means sharing in its success and failure makes investing tangible. Watching a small investment grow, shrink, and grow again teaches emotional resilience far more effectively than theoretical explanations. The goal is not to protect children from market fluctuations, but to normalize them at a scale that feels safe. One of the most valuable lessons investing can teach a child is that outcomes are not always immediate or fair. Sometimes good decisions lead to poor short-term results. Sometimes luck intervenes. This is uncomfortable, but it mirrors reality. Shielding children from this lesson sets them up for disappointment later. Teaching it early, gently, and with guidance builds emotional flexibility. Investing becomes a classroom for life, not just finance. It is also important to avoid turning investing into performance pressure. Children do not need to beat the market. They do not need to pick winners. They need to learn process over outcome. Praising patience, consistency, and reflection, rather than gains, reinforces healthy habits. When investing becomes a game of status or comparison, its educational value is lost. Parents and caregivers often worry about making mistakes while teaching money. This fear leads to silence. Silence is far more damaging than imperfection. Children learn as much from watching adults admit uncertainty, correct errors, and adjust plans as they do from watching success. Financial literacy includes understanding that learning never stops. Another overlooked aspect of investing for kids is time perspective. Children have a natural advantage: time. Helping them see time as an ally rather than an abstract concept changes how they relate to money permanently. Compound growth is not explained. It is experienced. Small amounts accumulating over years make patience visible. This lesson learned early is one of the few that reliably carries into adulthood. Technology has made investing more accessible, but access without guidance can mislead. Apps, gamified interfaces, and constant feedback can encourage impulsive behavior. For children, simplicity matters. Fewer decisions, longer intervals, and deliberate discussion protect learning from becoming speculation. The objective is understanding, not excitement. Ultimately, investing for kids is about building character traits that money rewards. Later, patience, curiosity, humility, and accountability. Financial literacy taught early reduces anxiety later. It replaces fear with familiarity and avoidance with engagement. Children who grow up understanding how money works are less likely to be controlled by it, whether they have a little or a lot. As children grow, the challenge shifts from introducing concepts to building habits that last, because knowing what investing is does not automatically lead to good financial behavior. As life becomes more complex, and understanding how to structure age-appropriate lessons, tools, and conversations that evolve with a child's development is where most parents struggle, which is exactly where we need to go next, by examining how to turn financial literacy into a natural, age-appropriate journey rather than a forced lesson plan. Because children do not learn money the way adults do, they absorb it through experience, repetition, and example. In early childhood, the focus should remain simple and tangible. Money is physical, visible, and finite. Using jars or envelopes labeled "spend, save, and give" helps children see that money has different purposes. The lesson is not optimization, but separation. When a child chooses to spend one jar and protect another, the seed of budgeting is planted without a single spreadsheet or rule. As children grow older, usually in late elementary years, saving begins to connect naturally with time. This is the moment to introduce the idea that money can grow if it is left alone. Small, real investments matter more than explanations. Watching a modest amount invested in a broad fund fluctuate over months teaches patience, uncertainty, and restraint in a way no lecture can. The key is conversation. Ask what they notice. Ask how it feels when the number goes down. Normalize those feelings. Investing is not about removing emotion. It is about learning to live with it. During the teenage years, responsibility and autonomy should increase together. This is when linking investing to goals becomes powerful. Saving and investing for a bike, a trip, or future education gives purpose to delayed gratification. Teens are also ready to understand risk in a more honest way. Explaining that higher potential returns come with higher uncertainty builds respect rather than fear. This is also the stage to introduce basic diversification, not as a technical concept, but as a common sense idea. Do not put everything in one place. One critical rule across all ages is to avoid turning investing into entertainment. Flashy apps, constant checking, and short-term wins distort learning. Children should associate investing with patience and thoughtfulness, not adrenaline. Fewer decisions and longer intervals create better habits. A quarterly or even annual review encourages reflection rather than impulse. Parents and caregivers must also accept their role as models. Children learn more from what adults do than from what they say. Talking calmly about market ups and downs, admitting mistakes, and explaining decisions in plain language builds trust. Pretending to have all the answers teaches arrogance. Demonstrating learning teaches resilience. The final stage of teaching investing for kids is knowing when to step back. The goal is not control, but competence. As children mature, they should gradually make more decisions, experience small mistakes, and learn from them while the stakes are low. This is a gift. Errors made early under guidance are far cheaper than errors made later under pressure. In the end, Investing for kids is not about creating young investors. It is about creating adults who are not afraid of money, who understand time, who respect risk, and who know that wealth is built through consistency rather than shortcuts. Financial literacy taught early does not guarantee financial success, but it dramatically reduces the likelihood of financial self-sabotage. If this topic resonated with you, consider subscribing to stay with these long-form conversations about building habits that last generations, and leave a comment sharing the first money lesson you remember learning as a child, because those early memories often explain more about our financial behavior than any book ever could.